Hey guys, this is Lauren Productions, aka Animal 473, and this is a CUPID Demo made in NaNoWriMo. And first there is this warning: this game contains disturbing images, sexual scenes, and mature content. Viewer discretion is advised. So yeah, it's 16 plus, so if you're, I guess, under 16 or don't think you can handle this, then don't watch it. I don't know. I don't know anything about this. It just looked really cool. It's an otome game, I think. I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is. Not sure actually. But this is the demo of it, and it looked very interesting. So I'm looking very much forward to this. Let's just go. Oh wow! Too loud. Too loud. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. There's no need to explain. It's only natural. A mother loves her daughter more than anything else in the world. He hates you, doesn't he? The lot of them despise you, don't they? Chasing you into the forest and gouging a hole in your leg. All because you smiled at their husbands. And you know what? You deserve it. You freak. You disgusting, horrible, filthy little girl. Didn't I tell you to stay away from them? You never listen. Serves you right for being the little slut you are. But you don't have to worry, my darling. It's alright. Even if the whole world wishes you dead, I promise you this. Your mother will always be by your side. My goodness, child, whatever has happened to you? Slumped in the doorway and soaked by the rain was a girl. Her legs were covered in dirt and blood. She lifted her head up upon hearing the priest's voice and stared at him with blank eyes. Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. She hobbled forward, her bloodied leg giving way. Automatically, the priest rushed forwards to steady her. Years of spiritual training had prepared him for even the most unexpected guests that came to his church. He sprung into action. He ushered her to a pew, brought out some plain cloth and began to bandage the wound on her leg. All throughout his now he found that he couldn't take his eyes off her. He would be gazing at the roll of bandages in his hand, deciding how to tie them, and then, out of nowhere, he would be staring into her eyes. Even before the mud and green smeared across her face, he couldn't deny that she was absolutely beautiful. How old was she? 20, 18, 16? Her face was so young. The priest had long since aged past his desire for the opposite sex, but somehow, something about her enraptured him. Oh, well, that's not creepy at all. When he realized his own thoughts, he quickly steered his mind towards the other matters. My child, what happened to you? She seemed to take all the time in the world before responding. He looked at me. He looked at me and he touched me. And then he started to kiss me. At first the priest didn't understand. Then he realized with a jolt of anger what she meant. It was happening more and more often these days. The young men of France these days were spirited, uncontrollable ruffians. A lady walking home by herself one night would be a prey to a few number of them. Lust. One of the 7 deadly sins. It was one that the priest personally despised the most. Furrowing his brow in sorrow, the priest laid a hand on her thigh. You are safe now, child. God's house is sanctuary for the faithful. I don't think he will protect me. He looked at her in confusion. You see, Father, I have sinned again. Right there, among the pews, before the altar of God, she bowed her head. I'm sorry. Was she apologizing to him or someone else? Her hair hid her face and her eyes, and the priest could make neither head nor tail of her. He suddenly realized his hands were still on her thigh, and he hurriedly drew it away. I'm sorry. She repeated this phrase over and over. After a while, the priest got up. Don't fret, child. You are not to blame. I will contact the local constable, but in the meantime you are free to make yourself at home here. I will fetch you a hot drink. He patted her hand and left to go to the back room. She remained seated on the pew, her head bent forward. As the priest's footsteps faded away, the entire church fell into silence. Now that it was the dead of night and the clouds covered the sky, barely a silver of moonlight flickered through the stained glass. The girl sat alone in a ring of darkness. She opened her mouth. No, I know. If I may say my piece, surely. Yes, mother. But he is so very kind. Okay, I fear for your safety. Child, follow mother's word and leave. You have seen the look in his eyes, haven't you? He is tainted. You cannot stay here. Even a man of God can stain you with the filthiest colors. Be a good girl and follow mother's words. But it's cold outside, mother. The rain has not lit up. Can't I stay? All right. I suppose you can, but you must be wary of everyone in this church, do you understand? You are so weak, my darling. You give my heart so much pain. I'm sorry, mother. I will try my best to stay out of trouble. How am I going to mind you like this? You attract so much misfortune everywhere you go. My poor child. You stupid little girl. Always a blight, aren't you? What will you ever do without me? I'm sorry, mother. Thank you for always guiding me. It's all my fault. The girl sat in silence. Mother was right after all. She was always right. Everything was her fault. Wait, did I click her? My poor child, that's the one I clicked, wasn't it? Okay. Her fist shook a mixture of fear and conviction. She must give penance. Mother, give me strength. There is something I wish to do. The girl rose from the pew. In front of her was the altar, and on top of the altar was an decorated cross. It was as wide as her head, and the tip of the cross had been crafted such as it was razor sharp. She left the pew, knelt briefly, and then walked over to the altar. Don't tell me. You're quite sure you're doing this? The girl's arm trembled ever so slightly. What other way is there for me to atone? She picked up the cross. Oh, my darling daughter, mother is proud of you. Slowly she brought the sharp end close to her face, so close that above it hovered her left eye, and then she... Oh my god. Wow. Okay. Okay, let's begin. We're going. Chapter 1, The Star and the Rose. A scruffy young girl in tattered clothes peeked through the open gates of Frenchwood. A matinee was being held that afternoon. People from the... sorry, someone just texted me because now I'm Right, sorry. People from high-class estates strolled around the manicured gardens while chatting loudly to one another. There were beautiful, ladies wrapped in silk and velvet, their necks adorned with pearls and jewels. A variety of food was displayed on the tables. The girl stared at the food. She hadn't eaten properly for the past few days. Why are we the mother? I don't want to be the mother. Are you hungry, child? No, don't steal. We must not linger. We must not linger in this place any longer. I detest it. Okay, no, that's not the reason. Are you hungry, child? Are you hungry, my dear? Yes, mother. Don't you worry. Mother will provide. You do not need those high-class food anyway. They will upset your stomach. Now we've stayed long enough. Let us leave. Surely we can just look around for a bit. It's still a little early. There was something else that called to her other than the party itself. She walked to and from and fled from the gates, peeking at the crowd despite the urgings of her mother to leave. Just a little glance would be enough. The girl smiled at the thought of him. The owner of the chateau, the Marquis de Gull. Oh God, French. The girl was drawn to him. He wasn't the same as other people. He seemed different. He was kind to her and would always hand her food when she delivered flowers. Her heart felt at ease with him. I do not care for him. I do not care for him. But I wish you to stop ogling some man like a common whore. I just want to see him, mother. What for? What good does his presence do you? He makes me feel there are still good people in the world, mother. It's hard to say. It's hard to say, of course, dear. We not really know the real intention of people. One can hope that real charity exists, but even good people will always put their needs first. Even you, your precious Marquis. Don't you think I'm a good person, mother? Of course I do. Of course, child, you're special. Haven't I raised you as such? I've tried my best, my dearest. Yes, mother, you keep me right. I love you. The girl stared at her shoes and looked around for a bit, hoping for a little glance before she went. And there he was. There was no harm in looking, she reasoned. She would never enter the Macrin's world. Let her heart be filled with hope. He turned his eyes to her direction. Did he smile at her? The girl's heart stopped. Did he recognize her? She beamed. My, is this creature deaf as well as dumb? It might be, poor thing. Mademoiselle, a voice called to the rose girl. She gasped. It seemed somebody else had noticed her presence. She turned to leave. No, my dear, poor little creature, don't run away. And he says she stinks, don't touch her. Come to crash the party, did you? You hungry? Her stomach gave a low grumble. She was always hungry, it seemed, no matter how much or little she ate. Fueled by the kindness of the Marquis had showed her, the girl approached the woman. She teetered towards the table. What are you selling? Look at this poor creature. Is she selling roses? Those are ugly ones, but not as appalling as the rag she is covering herself in. Are you trying your best to be this repulsive? Now don't be mean, Sophia. Perhaps it's the common fashion nowadays. They laughed while gawking at her and her wares. Oh my, she only has one eye. Ghastly. But I can't look away. The second lady nodded her head. Like a sideshow and attraction, you mean? The freaks of the carnivals. She's darling in her own dirty, monstrous way. Maybe we can keep it. Hello, do you want some bread, urchin? Well, speak up. Maybe her tongue is short, and that adds to the list of her sterling qualities. Quiet, Sophia. Come on, don't be shy. Do you want some food? Let us hear you speak. Yes, ma'am. What? Yes, ma'am, I would be grateful. One of the ladies clapped in mockery at her reply. The ladies handed her the bread, but it was snatched away before her fingers graced it. Not before you dance for us first. Oh, make her do a handstand. I've seen one one of those streets who can do that. Quite marvelous. Now I'd like to see that. Well, come on, Ted. Excuse me. The girl looked at the beautiful, cruel faces of the women. That look in them. It was a burning desire to hurt something simply because they can. She knew that look. Before they hurt her and touch her, they have to have that look burned into their eyes. Oh, look what you did, Adela. She's shivering like a leaf, poor thing, the lady said, still laughing. I didn't do anything. She would be grateful we have been offering her this much. Besides, these commoners are supposed to be jolly in their misery. Come on, girl, show us your joy. The girl moved away as they laughed. Mother, please save me. Mother. Haven't I told you this time again? People are cruel. Now you see it at first hand. Hey there! That's a child's voice came from behind. It belonged to a girl around 7 with chubby cheeks and an eternal look of curiosity in her eyes. She wore a old blue dress that's somehow patched at corners but kept clean and tidy. She was not rich, but she had an air as if she owned the ground she stood on. Another commoner. This party is absolutely teeming with them. Macquith loves these things. Heard he picks them up randomly from the street. Maybe I should get me one too. The ladies ignored the girl and gossiped amongst themselves. The girl took to a side, slightening with a shrug. She approached the table and insisted her presence. What you doing? God goodness, they don't take a hint, do they? Throw something shiny, it might distract them. Hey, you've been holding that bread for a long time. Aren't you going to give it to her? She pointed at the shabby rose vendor. Why do you care? Do you want the bread for yourself? I bet she's hungry too. I know, maybe you should toss the bread and see if they'll fight for it. The ladies laughed to themselves. The girl stared at them with confusion, her brow furrowed in childlike understanding. Next thing anyone knew, she'd swiped the bread from the woman's hand. Oh my! How rude! Horrible, filthy girl, give that back! The girl sniffed the piece of bread and nibbled at the surface. Yum, it's still warm. She shoved the bread into the urchin's face. The scrumptious scent of bread flowed into the rose girl's nose. Lick it, the sugared batter tastes good. No, you devil child, give that back! The urchin licked it. Her tongue was coated in sweetness. She sat there, squeezing the taste in her tongue. The girl grinned at her, and she can't help but grin back. Sorry, here you go, it's all yours. Ugh, disgusting! Like we're gonna eat anything that's been in your filthy mouths. Wow, so this is ours now. You ladies are so nice. Cheeky little brat, have you thrown out? I'll have you thrown out of this party. I'll have you... A young man strode to the commotion. A sweet scent lingered as he passed. The rose girl felt her mouth well up. His presence filled her body, almost as if her hunger was abated. She blushed furiously. What a strange effect he had. Ladies? Oh, Sir Guillerme! I just came to check in on my esteemed guests. Is everything alright? Are you enjoying yourself? One of the ladies started fanning herself with obvious annoyance. Well, these little beats have been harassing us. Yes, my lord. We're just minding our own business, and then this girl swiped the food off her table. Horrible little nits. The girl stuck out her tongue at them. A lady wiped her eye in mock tears. See, look at that. It's absolutely monstrous how these children act around adults now. There's no respect, monsieur. I worry for the next generation. Oh, Anita, don't cry. Well, my lord, we could all breathe a little easier if those children were sent on their way. Yes, who know what kind of mischief they might do? They might set fire to the tables, you see. Oh? Or steal our jewelry. In fact, I think my pocket watch is missing. Oh no, how unfortunate. One of the ladies continues her childish wailing. It is, monsieur. It's unfortunate how you allow important guests to be treated this way. Please deal with these vermins. Throw them out now. Oh, my sweet ladies, I am stricken with grief at your misfortunes. Allow me to offer my heartfelt apologies. Unfortunately, this child is my important guest today, and you are, sad to say, paltry squatters. Excuse me? Madame Anita of Montpellier, I don't remember sending you an invite. Same goes to you, Sophia of Rennes and Lady Adela of Rhode, Elfins. Most people I invited are huge patrons of music, that's why they're here today. They came to listen to Mademoiselle Catherine Emilia Paris. She is the 7-year-old piano prodigy who played for the Queen last summer. The man pointed at the girl busy chewing her half of the bread. The Rose girl just stared at the unfolding situation. Well, that's... But I'm sure you're aware of that, were you not? But no matter, I'm happy to see you ladies. It's my pleasure to have you here. I hope you don't mind giving some of my food away to the townspeople. That's why I keep my gates open. My servers are instructed to serve anyone who passes by, not just my guests. But do not fret, my darlings. There is plenty more to be served. The ladies blushed in embarrassment. One of them began to fan herself even faster. Excuse me. The Macquarins walked up to the two girls. The Rose girl's heart beat so fast it made her head feel light and dizzy. She had never been that close to him. It made her feel a mixture of fears and elation. Lady Catherine, your father has been looking for you. It's almost time for your performance. The girl looked up at Macquarins and did a little courtesy. My apologies, sire. I didn't mean to cause a clatter. Guillaume chuckled. I saw the whole thing, mon chéri. You put those ladies in their place. They were being mean to her. Guillaume narrowed his eyes at the quiet girl. She hid behind her basket of roses. She couldn't look at him directly. She was like the sun. It hurt just to be in his presence. Yet there was a relief in her heart as he stepped nearer to her. I've seen you before, haven't I? The Rose girl nodded and made a courtesy. I deliver your roses to your house sometimes, sire. Yes, the girl with the sweetest face. The Rose girl blushed. I love your roses, by the way. They stay fresh longer than they should. You tended them with love. Thank you, sire. Do you have a name, young lady? Well, if you don't want... Let's call her Rosa! Rosa, it fits her. Maybe she forgot her name, or she lost it. The Macquarins nodded wisely. A valid point. Are you alright with that, Rosa? Yes. Come on, Rosa. You watch me play, right? Her eyes darted to the girl, from the girl to Macquaris. Oh, Sir Gilly doesn't mind. Gilly? He's really nice to me and my family. And he helps the people around town too. He won't throw you out. The Macquaris held his palm in the air as if making an oath. I won't. See? Come on, you're invited now. You're my special guest. There's plenty of food inside too, Rosa. Please help yourself. Thank you, sire. Rosa is coming! Yay! Now this is my first public performance, Rosa. I'm a bit nervous. Catherine scratched her head. What will I do if I make a mistake? Papa will be pretty upset. The Macquarins knelt in front of Catherine and rubbed her shoulders fondly. You won't make a mistake, mon chéri. As long as you put your heart into the keys. Play to touch your audience, and any mistake won't matter. Do you understand? Catherine stared at Macquaris. Not really. The man chuckled. You will someday. Play your first song with me in your mind, will you? Something that you think will make me smile. Guillaume held Catherine's long, clear eyes in his gaze. He kissed her hand. It was covered with sticky bread and sugar and breadcrumbs. Catherine blushed. It was the first time she felt embarrassed by anything. It would be my pleasure, sir. What a flirt. Catherine trudged up to the wooden podium and walked towards the middle of the stage. The crowd's chatter died down. She bowed in front of her audience, waved to her father, and stole a glance at Guillaume. The man gave her a tiny nod. She sat in front of the piano, admiring the cream and the ebony keys underneath her fingers. Her own piano was broken and beaten. Father had sold his horse for it. The A3 key never played, and the strings would creak when it was cold. But it had never failed her. She knew the keys like they were her own fingers. She whispered to the new piano softly, as if coaxing a beautiful, untamed animal. "Let's be friends, okay?" She saw Rosa at the far end of the podium, watching her diligently. There was a renewed vigor in her blood. She could hear the keys calling out her song. A song that will make him smile. She placed her fingers on the keys. She began to play. At the ring of the first few notes, it became apparent to the audience that this girl was something special. Here was a little girl, barely tall enough to reach the pedals of the piano, playing as if she owned it. There were times she'd miss a note or two, but that didn't matter. She played the song to make someone smile, and it touched everyone present. Her musical skills were far beyond her years. Her fingers caressed the keys as if she was making a flower crown, carefully weaving the petals. She knew the correct way to tie the leaves so they wouldn't tear, like all smart little girls do. As the piano sang under her hands, Catherine seemed to disappear right in front of the audience's eyes. She was just a vision, after all, somebody leading them down a dream of a garden, springtime, the shades of a tree, and a windy day. The couples in the audience tightened their grip with their partners. Some closed their eyes and let the music saturate their soul. Sweet memories of youth, your first love, the yawn of your newborn. Rosa's eyes shone as she stared at Catherine. Her heart was captured by this image of her. A young girl, swaying her head to the music, smiling as the notes poured out of her. She couldn't take her eyes away from Catherine's glowing face. Is this happiness? Is this love? She looked like she was in love. And she was, wasn't she? In her innocence, she was still in love with life, in love with her family, with her pets, in love with every new discovery. She was full of hope. It was a bittersweet feeling for Rosa. A happy teardrop bounced off her cheek. She wanted to warm herself in the hope if she could. In the audience, Guillaume and Catherine's father sat beside each other. Stéphane cries, "You're Franco, French! Your daughter is amazing." "She is, isn't she?" "I mean, pardon my arrogance, Malik. I'm a very proud father, you see." "No pardon necessary, sire." "Has she found a sponsor yet?" "The Duke of Normandy once spoke to me about it, but we have not made any arrangements." Then I must steal her away as soon as possible." "Sire?" "I'd like to be Catherine's primary sponsor, if that's all right with you." "Why, sire?" "And further cement my status, that piano she's playing right now. It's hers. I've bought it for her." Francis' eyes widened in astonishment. "That is—" Francis gulped. "I'm calling him Francis." "This is beyond generous, sire." Guillaume smiled. "Well, I must make it hard for you to refuse me, you see. I took the opportunity of asking you outright, since the Duke might offer an extravagant piano plated in gold. In that case, I have no choice but to humbly concede." "What?" That was him who said that. "What?" "I'm kidding. The Duke of Normandy is the worst miser you'll ever meet." The men chuckled. "Of course, I shall be paying for her musical tutoring as required, and an ample stipend to acclimate your family." "Oh, you don't have to look so surprised, Monsieur Francis. Monsieur, your daughter is a star. It enraptures the soul. There's no doubt in my mind that she will succeed." "Thank you deeply, Malik. Please call me by my name, Monsieur. And let me remind you, this generosity isn't without charge. Her tutoring will be done at my house. I want to monitor her progress. Apart from that, I'd very much like Catherine to visit me and play from time to time. Music is one of my true passions. Her presence will benefit my mood tenfold." "Of course, sire. That's a small price for your offers." "On the contrary, monsieur. You don't have to decide now. Kindly think about it." Yeah, thank you. After the performance, Catherine and Rosa went to Macquarie's garden to play. Francis and Guillaume lingered on their table, sorting out the details of Catherine's further education. Amelia Perride wandered about the crowd, searching for a familiar face. She had arrived halfway through Catherine's performance, just in time to gush her little sister's applause. Unfortunately, she couldn't find her father. When she finally caught sight of the back of his head, she approached him hastily. "Father, there you are. I've been looking all over for you." Amelia stopped as she saw the man her father was talking to. It was none other but Marquis himself. She fixed her hair self-consciously and courtesied. "My lord, pardon my intrusion. I didn't realize—" Guillaume smiled at her kindly. "You are free to intrude any time, my lady." Amelia smiled just as the rumor said. The Marquis was easy on the eyes. I don't know who's the main character. I hope it's Rosa. It's Rosa, and I don't know how old she is, but I wanted to end up with that Marquis guy. But I think he's kind of rotten. I have a feeling that there's something wrong with him. He's a little too nice. To whom do I owe the pleasure of your acquaintance? This is my eldest daughter, Amelia. Pardon me for not introducing her sooner. Charmed. Guillaume offered her a seat. Amelia sat down across the man. Well, it seems talent and good looks run in the family. Francis scratched his head. Yes, my daughters are my pride and joy. Thankfully, they both took their mother's speeches. Surely not, Francis. The eyes are yours, earnest and loving eyes. Amelia snorted at such sappy words. Her father was clearly basking in the compliments. I get the feeling he's just doing whatever he likes, like he can just twist everyone around his little finger. If this really was the famous Guillaume the rumors talked about, then he wasn't exactly much of a charmer, but more of a tavern flirt. She didn't know what the fuss was about him. The ladies in the house she worked for could not seem to stop talking about this man. Admittedly, there was something morbidly curious about the way he looked at people, like he was always distracted and could only say words that were expected of him. I'm pleased to have met you, sire. I heard about you on my travels. All good things, I hope. Depends on the tabloid and the day of the week, Amelia chuckled to herself. Your governess, I was told. Where do you work? In the Dimitri household, sire. Ah, yes, I heard you are marrying the family soon. Father, I told you not to tell anybody yet. I didn't, but you know how people talk. Word travels fast. Pardon the comment then, my lady. Please. Your betrothed is a lucky man, I'm sure. The conversation endured through the afternoon. Small talk, musical composers, their little town, Catherine's musical background, Francis' students, Amelia's work. Amelia played with her napkin, offering droll options as the particularly droll topics. All throughout the exchange, Amelia observed the infamous Marquis de Gaulle. This is him, the audacious, shameless charmer of the royal court and tabloids. According to the rumors, he was able to bed both the widowed Countess of de Devonshire and her daughter at the same time, and even had a tumultuous relationship with the Prince of Garnet. Wow, he's getting around. He doesn't limit himself to royalty, also the tabloids say. His last fling was with an English poet, who they say almost killed him when he was caught with another man or woman. At this point, who knew what was real and what was a blatant lie made up by the newspapers? She'd looked forward to meeting him, and here he was, finally, talking about sampling of the new bakery's crème brûlée, isn't that? Nah, whatever. She couldn't say she was disappointed exactly, but the Marquis was a depressingly normal man, maybe even boring, Amelia ventured. She watched as his gaze flickered across her hair and her nose before trailing lazily away. How infuriating. She wondered if he would suddenly say something coy, or insist to dance with her, just something outrageous. Honestly, so she could shoot him down. This man who everyone was interested in. That would be a small victory for reasonable women everywhere. But the man Chris was nothing but polite. He did not ogle. He did not touch unnecessarily. No audacious gestures or suggestive winks with the eye. He would not even look at her for more than 2 seconds. Maybe she was not pretty enough to flirt with. Amelia bit her lip. She shouldn't be thinking that. But there was also times where he would quietly hold her eyes when the conversation lulled. When the words spoken were without meaning, their eyes would converse further. To Amelia, he'd started to look lonely underneath his facade of caprice. He seemed tired of all the rumors and numerous flings. We're all a little lonely, aren't we? Perhaps even he. He invited the family over to his and commented on how empty the building felt sometimes. Music was his guilty pleasure. It got him through the cold nights, he said with a sad grin. How he wouldn't mind a warm touch to the soul. And before she could stop herself, Amelia had begun to imagine his lips on her neck, on one of those cold nights. Amelia shook her head, trying to erase the thoughts of her mind. They were having a perfectly mundane conversation. She didn't know where those thoughts came from. Fortunately, her father didn't seem to notice. Music and loneliness struck a nerve with Francis Parade. He had immersed himself in his music, tutoring his students in Catherine ever since his wife got sick. It had been 7 years, but sometimes the nights were cold. To Francis, the Marquis was speaking to his soul. He was a kindred spirit. He wasn't pompous showboat like all the other royalty Catherine had played for. The Marquis had even having a wine collection he wanted to show Francis. Such a down-to-earth, generous man. Amelia, your face is flushed. Are you all right? I'm fine. Just the sun, probably. This was not valid, of course. The afternoon sun had already lost most of its heat. Thankfully, Catherine provided with distraction. She ran towards the little huddle and flung her arms around her father's torso, chatting happily about gardens and butterflies. A young, ragged girl followed behind her. Amelia wasn't sure how old the girl was. Her dirty blonde hair hid the left side of her face. You could just see the faint traces of scars peeking through. A surge of motherly affection caught hold of her heart. "Hello there, young lady." The girl looked down at her toes, but she gave her a shy smile. "I see you made a crown of flowers. You look very pretty." Catherine gave it to me. "Sister, this is Rosa. She's really nice. She knows the name of all the flowers in Sir Gilly's garden." "Catherine, there you go again with your silly names." "Sister, help me convince Papa to let Rosa stay with us." "Catherine?" "Papa, please let her stay with us. She doesn't have anywhere to go." "Now, Catherine, that's not very nice. Rosa here is a girl. She's not a kitten you can just pluck from the street and take home, like you always do with stray animals. Goodness know that we have all the stray cats of France living in our house." "Yes, I know she's not a kitten. I know she's a girl. But shouldn't we take her home even more so?" Francis sighed. Guillemette chuckled under his breath. He was clearly enjoying this exchange. "Your daughters have very unique views," Sir parried. "Well, Sir Gilly, what do you think?" "Huh?" Guillemette's face lost his leisurely bystander look. "You are Marquis. I'm sure your father would follow your orders, right? Shouldn't we take Rosa home?" Guillemette's brow furrowed at being put on the spot so suddenly. He stole a glance at Francis, who was silently pleading him with his eyes not to humour the child. He cleared his throat. Well, I'm sure it's up to your father since he owns the house. He will have to clothe and feed Rosa, you see. Yes, but I've got it all figured out. Ever since Sister moved to work, nobody minds the house anymore. And I have to wash the dishes every time. Ugh. Papa's so busy, and we have enough food for the two of us. If Rosa stays, I wouldn't be so lonely on my own. She'll wear Sister's old clothes and will mind the house when both Sister and Father are away. She can wash the dishes sometimes, and I'll wash them sometimes. Gillen and Francis shared a look. And besides, if it were up to me, I'd have people take one girl home in their house and give her food. Girls don't even eat that much. Not sure about boys. She thought for a bit. But I'm sure it's not too much that people can't take them home too. One time I ate a whole plate of potato, and potatoes and my stomach hurt. If Rosa was there, I wouldn't have eaten so much. Maybe. Guillaume couldn't help but laugh. Francis scratched his head in embarrassment. I'm sorry, sire, she is very headstrong. Father, I think she's not far from the point. Taking Rosa in wouldn't be much trouble for us financially, yes. But all this is so sudden. I'm sure this is supposed to be more complicated. What about her family or her friends? Are we trespassing any laws? Perhaps, I'm not even sure. As long as it's consensual, sire, the details can be smoothed out later. The girl was quiet the whole time. She was looking at her toes or at Catherine. Rosa, do you have any family, relatives or friends you stay with? No, sire. My mother died a long time ago. But she guides me always. Please don't be compelled to mind me. No, don't go back to the streets, Rosa. It's September. It's going to be really cold soon. But Catherine... Francis sighed in surrender. All right, you can stay for the night. Papa! Just for tonight, then we'll see if she wants to stay. Catherine, you cannot hold people in their place just because you want them there, do you understand? If Rosa wants to leave, she may leave. You cannot keep her an object. Guillaume cleared his throat. That is sound advice, Sir Francis. Yes, Papa, I understand. Rosa, please make yourself comfortable in our home. Thank you. Papa is the best. Catherine turned to Guillaume again. So, Gilly, don't you think if every one person with a house takes a person home, nobody would freeze in the winter? You should make it into a law. They'll obey because you're a Marquis, and because you're tall. Oh, so people obey my orders because I'm tall. What a compliment. Well, you're taller than my dad at least. He'll never be a Marquis. Francis pulled on his daughter's ear with embarrassment. Catherine, mind your manners. I'm sorry, sire. Guillaume shook his head, his eyes trailing at the parade family. Amelia watched him curiously. The sadness once again surfaced for the briefest moment. You have a lovely family, sire. I am quite jealous. He made me want to settle myself someday. He chuckled. Oh my God, what just happened? Maybe. Amelia's heart skipped a beat. Did he just look at her when he said that? She couldn't be sure. Catherine is perfect the way she is. It is one of the reasons why I am invested in her. Guillaume knelt down so he was eye to eye with Catherine. He clasped his hands on hers and patted her head. You are very intelligent and kind-hearted girl, Catherine. You are a star, Monetolaire. Someday I know you will change the world. At least I'd like to see you try. Mother. Help me. My chest. I can't breathe. No. Catherine? Wow. I'll have to end the episode here. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.